own legal expenses. In other words, the state and agencies of the state snooped on, looked for information secretly on vulnerable children and their families and held it in files without the knowledge or the consent of those families. What a thoroughly disgusting thing to do. What a dishonourable thing to do. What a thing to target children and their families that the state had already failed. Families who were guilty only of standing up for their children, who have additional needs, who are on the autistic spectrum and who need special care. I saw this programme and I have to tell you, I was beyond anger. In fact, it is possibly one of the most disgusting examples of bad behaviour by the state, of abusive behaviour by the state that I have ever seen. And of course, we know this isn't an isolated incident, because we'll all remember the Bridget McColls and others who stood up for themselves and who took on the state and who were vilified, discredited, and damaged by the state. So this kind of behaviour is nothing new, but it doesn't make it any less shocking. Really, really shocking and totally unacceptable. So here's what needs to happen. Firstly, we need to be told categorically that this practice has stopped, not just in the Department of Health and Education and the HSE, but across all government departments. Secondly, we need to be given the full facts, all of the material around any investigations or any processes and procedures around all of this. We need to have sight of that. More importantly, there has to be full disclosure to the families concerned, families who the state now holds sensitive information on. And we need a full inquiry on this. Above all else, we have to say stop now. We have to say that it is not the job of the state or any part of it or government or any part of it to target citizens, to discourage or damage citizens as they seek to have their rights recognised and fulfilled. It's the job of the state and government, to provide for all of us, to provide services for all of us, but above all, to provide services for the citizens that are most vulnerable and for our children and our children with special and additional needs. We've talked a lot about change over the last year and more through the last election. You'll have heard me many times talk about the need for change. Well, folks, this perhaps more than anything else, this discovery that we made last night on television demonstrates more dramatically than I could ever say why we need that change, because government and politics, the state and governments, people in positions of power are there to serve and to protect our communities and our families, not to intrude, not to abuse people in the way that we saw on the primetime programme last night. Final thing is this: I want to express deep gratitude to Shane Core. Thank you, Shane. Shane is the person who stepped forward as a whistleblower. He's a civil servant himself, but he came forward to tell this story, to reveal this story, to ensure that things are put to right. Folks, put to right they will be. We will not let this go. We want the inquiry that I spoke of. We want full disclosure for the families. We want the full facts established. We want to know now that these practices have ceased, that nowhere in government are these dossiers or files being compiled about any family or any child or any individual who simply has acted to defend themselves and their rights. Change has to come, and we have to drive it, you and me together. So take care, stay safe, and remember, we are all in this together. We have to be in this together to ensure that we get to that better and that changed Ireland.